Welcome to my class, The Psychology of FinTech. Now, in my second session of the first class, I want to draw your attention to this contrast between 우리bank versus KakaoBank. I told you Kakao is South Korea's, the country's biggest social media platform, where you chat a lot with your friends, right? I realize that even my foreign exchange students initiate and talk to me to use Kakao Talk chat room to talk with the students, for class discussion or Q&As offline or out of the classroom, right? So foreign students are already aware of this. And then the Kakao group expanded their business into this fintech banking business. So that's what KakaoBank is about. They developed applications on your cell phone. And then 우리bank is a traditional bank. The history goes back to I don't know, was it 조흥은행 or something, 100 years, their fathers and things like that. And then this happens to be my, salary account, right? In SKKU. We have 우리bank branches nearby. I have no intention to bother them, right? They're good persons, right? I like them very much. But in terms of fintech app, let's compare these two. This is KakaoBank app in my cell phone. You see my name, Younghan Kim. Oh, did you read this one? You can read Korean, man. You're a fast learner. Yeah. And then it says information to make money over here, and then advertisement. Okay. And then Andy's account and transfer, and then the card transaction history, and then the safe box, and then screen editing. If you don't like this, and you can edit it. Safe box plus screen editing. And then here you see advertisement, 0.2% on weekdays and 0.4% on weekend. All right, check card benefit. You can click it and enjoy this benefit later if you wish. Now, this is the KakaoBank app. How about 우리bank app? It says like this. Cheer up, Andy Kim. Why? Am I suffering from depression or anything? Anything wrong with me? But it says like this, right? 오늘도 힘내세요. 화이팅! That's the idea over here. Why do we need it? Anyway, and then you see a picture, right? A character that nobody knows except the 우리bank management. That's their mascot, I guess. That's my guessing. And then send, what you see, the button over here says that send the money from other account if you click it. Okay. And here, send the money from 우리bank account, from and to the difference. And then how much money do I have is shown over here. It's a secret. Yeah. And then what do you have over here? You can take out your money in all other banks from 우리bank account in one shot. And going directly over here, click it. And then what do you have over here? 4 different clicking options. FX, foreign exchange. If you want to translate your money, transfer into dollars, right? US dollars or Japanese yen, click it, right? And then transaction histories. And then any recommendations that the bank give you. Or open banking services. Okay, so if you compare and contrast these two, okay, which one is more intuitive as a user, okay, human user in your brain? Which one is more intuitive and easier to use? Simpler and easier and intuitive. That is a question. Simple message is needed. We call it bounded rationality. One of the key fundamental concepts in behavioral finance or psychology of the market. Bounded rationality is proposed by Nobel Prize laureate Herbert Simon, right? If your message is too much complicated, too many things, TMI, screws up your brain, doesn't work. TMI, we hate it. Simple message, simple clicking options takes you a long way. Which one? Clearly, Kakao. Instead of this guy. Kakao is much better, right? They don't have all these kind of things. These are just, if there should be anything, they leave it as icons, right? You click it and see it, but it's not that necessary for you, okay? But you know, by the time you reach over here, there must be something much more, okay? Otherwise, you can satisfy everything in over here. And number 2, color psychology. Contrast in brightness and saturation matters a lot, okay? You need to have a great marketing sense. And then it's all about the psychology. The life is about sales. Life is about marketing. Even if this is finance class, you have to have a great sense in marketing to be successful in your career. And one of the things that you need is color psychology. If you look back over here, which app has more color contrast so that it'll be easier to identify the important things out of the blue, right? Clearly Kakao. Yellow and almost blackish navy blue, right? You know, the traffic signal on the road, on the black asphalt, you see yellow lines. Why? Because it is the most striking color contrast that you can ever make. You don't need a college education or a PhD education to learn about this thing, to realize this kind of color contrast in your app building. It's all about user experience. It's your sense, right? You have stronger understanding of psychology, okay? That's what Kakao is strong about. In what's that? The Uri Bank. Now, it's Uri Bank. You don't see any color contrast over here. They are almost the same. Whitish, bluish, and then bluish, purplish kind of things. Not much color contrast over there, okay? They suck. That's a problem. And they don't take this seriously. We can see that. These guys, the traditional banks, don't take psychology seriously. That's the key problem, okay? They should take psychology much more seriously than simply, oh, psychology is about this and that. They have to realize it in every step they take, okay? Simpler message and this kind of things. Then the question becomes, why can't the existing banks compete as much? Well, if it was an offline class, I could have given you some offline discussion chances among yourselves. But let me move on to the next slide of my answer. My part of the answer is this. Traditional bankers like Uri Bank, the bankers were trained by economists in their undergraduate training. And the economists are blind in psychology. They largely have been ignoring psychology as an inferior discipline. Let me be honest, because this is what I heard in University of Minnesota economics PhD program, okay? Economics. I had to take their economics, microeconomics classes together with their economics PhD students. The finance is about economics, we said. Okay, that's why. And there, the degree of despise against the disciplines that are non-mathematical is tremendous. Psychology or sociology or whatever discipline. Okay, only mathematical discipline is something superior, and human beings deserve that kind of things. That's their attitude. Really annoying. Thank God I passed those prelim exams and then got my PhD successfully. I thought also in that same manner when I was in that program, right? But in Singapore, as I was pushing on my research into the CEO interviews on CNBC research paper, I realized there's much more in psychology than what I used to understand. Yeah. But the traditional economists are teaching the bankers until now. So they were despising this psychology and largely made them ignore this psychological aspect of it. So lo and behold, this kind of behavior is showing up again in their app building. It's ignorance of psychology. In the meantime, engineers studied psychology much more. The ironical thing is the economists have been adoring those engineering and mathematics simply because they're using a lot of mathematics, right? So much adoring. But the engineers, okay, have been studying a lot more of psychology than the economist. Only these economists have been, unaware of this kind of things, and they have been missing the most important part of what is coming. So that's why. Okay. Then going into this step, right? The engineering guys embracing more psychology, they developed a whole new discipline called social signal processing. Signal processing is an engineering term, the discipline about these telecommunications, signal to noise ratios, and then how do we capture this television signal clearly as opposed to noises, right? That's signal processing, encoding and decoding those video messages or vocal messages through this telecommunication line. That's about signal processing. But social signal processing is more incorporating this social psychology into this signal processing business, like nonverbal communications, like facial expressions, your voice pitch, your tone, and language, the natural language, NLP, natural language processing, right? All those statistical techniques are being adopted by this none other than those engineers. And so many of these traditional economists, when they talk to me, they still ask questions. Oh, you do the behavior economics. So do you do a lot of survey-based studies or lab experiments? I say, hell no. Behavioral finance, like 30 years ago, they were studying a lot with the lab experiments and then surveying 30 people or hundreds of people, right? But nowadays, we don't do it. We use social signal processing approaches. Come on, this is the engineering that you guys have been admiring so much. And they still don't understand what the heck I'm talking about. That's a problem of the traditional economist. God. Anyway, so the bankers are trained by this economist so much so that they are ignorant of psychology, the importance of psychology. And then another reason why the traditional banks simply just don't embrace this psychology or the app development, simply they cannot catch up with, Kakao, is this bureaucracy inside this dinosaur banking organization. Well, the bureaucracy, what do you mean? It does not give you time to build up your expertise in one specific area. App development, right? Do you have time to develop yourself into that specific app development as an IT guy in bank? And the answer is no. Typically, the bank IT guys, they have hundreds of thousands of IT guys, have some programming skills. But the thing is, they are rotated into different divisions every 3 years or 2 years, not giving them time to focus on one thing for a long time, right? And then they sometimes have to do administrative work or go to the retail branches and then do some other works, totally unrelated works, right? Bureaucracy. And there, what do you think? They will feel like, okay, as long as it gives me, stable salary, I'm happy to work as a banker. Work like a zombie. That's what's happening. And then every fashions, right? Like FinTech or whatever, this will go away, just like a fad, any fads. So even if I am positioned into this app development division, I'm going to move to another division in a couple of years. I'm not going to be responsible for this one, so I'm not going to work hard, okay? And plus, I'm not incentivized as much compared to the developers in Kakao, right? The stock options and things like that are not given to this, bank app developers. So they don't want to, they don't want to work hard. What's the driver, the economic driver for the persons to work hard? That's the incentive, stock option kind of things, but they don't give it, okay? IT talents, the banks have so many of them, but they lack the very top guys. Because those very top guys in IT, they are naturally gravitated to Kakao or these game companies or ICT companies, right? They never come to banks. So that's why they are limited in that sense. And this is partially why those, Alipay, Jack Ma was proposing the word TechFin instead of FinTech. Traditional banks, you guys can never compete against us because we are TechFin and we give them so much incentive and then we are dedicated to succeed in this business specifically, whereas you guys are suffering from those bureaucracy in your organization. My addition is that TechFin guys, they study this, they take this psychology much more seriously than these traditional banks. The economist or economist, right? So that's why this class is very important for you. I'm not saying that TechFin is really different from FinTech. I'm going to pick on that concept word later on. But what I'm highlighting here is the importance of psychology. In every step of your business, you have to incorporate this behavioral aspect of it, the psychological aspect of it, which the traditional economists have been largely ignoring and despising, okay? Then the next question is this. What is the age group that shows the best investment performance? If you ask, the private bankers have a good answer to this one. What are the age group of the people that have the highest stock investment performance? Private bankers, what would they say? Is it children or age 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, all the way down to infinity? Which age group do you think shows the best performance? The answer is children, the youngest generation. How come? Because those private bankers are working for the rich family, and then those top quality private bankers are working for the grandchildren of the rich people for their wealth transfer, okay? So these guys' investment performance is not really of their own, but with the help of the private bankers' information, okay? Now, that tells a lot about it. What do you see over here? The famous movie, Academy Award winning movie, Parasite. And in the movie, okay, Chung-suk, one of the characters over here, tells this famous verse. She says, money is iron. Money irons out all the wrinkles in your face, okay? 돈이 다리미야. It's like, because, money begets money. There is a positive, reinforcement happening if you once become rich. Rich versus poor. Where do they get the investment information? Okay. When you do the stock market investment, where do you get the most important information? Bonaparte and Fabuzzi had a paper about this, about consumer finance. It has a lot of implication for us. Okay. And then what they found out is that the top 10 percentile and bottom 10 percentile in terms of the amount invested in stock market. So this is rich people, that is poor people. And then this is the rich people minus poor people. The difference is the biggest in this sense. So the richest persons, right, richest people were much more advantageous, and then the much more getting their information from the professional information sources like the lawyers or the accountants and things like that. Okay, you see this over here, high quality information, whereas the bottom 10 percentile poor people, they tend to resort to informal source of information, non-professional source of information. What do you mean by non-professional, right? Rich people also get it, but poor people disproportionately more depend on the informal source of information. So first thing first, rich persons, right? Professional information sources, what are they? Brokers, the private bankers, right? And accountants and lawyers and these financial planners, investment clubs and insurance agents and bankers, they get their information from here. So the top lawyers, if you think about it, right? Lawyers, Kim-and-jang lawyers, right? How many of you have friends in Kim-and-jang, right? I have a couple of them, but how frequently are you able to talk to them? They seldom talk to me, right? They are too busy, and then they, typically will charge like, thousands of dollars for advices. But for rich people, they're just working like for their 집사 kind of, housekeeper kind of things, right? So they get the best information from the legal lawsuits or the high-level corporate executives. So you can access to the top quality information through them. Accountant as well. 3일 회계법인 or PwC accountants. How many of you have, how many friends do you have in the PwC partner level, right? I have a couple of them, but they are too busy, right? They don't bother to talk to me, yeah. But anyway, but this is high quality information that you can get. The rich people, right? And then the brokers, the private bankers, right? It's not for everybody. So that's why. And then in contrast, the poor persons get information from their neighbors and friends. So they tend to invest together with their friends and relatives. Like we call it 가치 투자. And it's not value investing, but togetherness investment. Together with your friends and relatives. 가치 투자. Let's go together. Bubble and bust. And then screw up yourselves together. Right? So that's a problem. Low quality information altogether. Screwing up ourselves altogether. That's a big problem. Where so the rich gets richer, poorer gets poorer because of the quality of information sources. And then there comes the dilemma or irony of FinTech. A lot of the FinTech companies claim that they are the advocates of financial democratization. Robo-advisors, they say, we're going to help you guys, to the poor people, to make money, right? Democratizing the money. You know what? In 2008, the financial crisis was caused by those evil, greedy bankers. Let's kill them all. And then democratize this money. Use my Robin Hood app, please, they say. Okay? Financial democratization. And robo-advisors, they say, you get as good an information as they get from the rich people. But is it really the case that would we be able to access those top quality information like Kim-and-jang's, or top lawyers in the whole country? We call it top secret, man. They will never disclose it to us. They will never disclose it to the robo-advisors, right? So there is a clear limitation in terms of the quality of information. And then the robo-advisors, they bring all those techniques of text minings that is available, analyzing those texts in the social media and news media. But we have to be aware that those are not the kind of information that the richest people can get through those lawyers or accountants. In the first place, we don't have those resources, data in the first place. Then what? What about the financial democratization? How can we help as a fintech provider? How can we help those poor people if it is not through the information? Then it should be through the psychology. We need to help them through helping their investment psychology, okay? Advising them to minimize their mistakes in investment, okay? 실수를 최소화해라. It's like the famous guy in the investment community in Korea, Mr. Kim Dong-hwan in 3프로 TV, the biggest YouTube channel inside Korea in terms of news, the financial news. He says we have to minimize our mistakes to be successful in our investment. That's all. That's all. But the thing is, how can we minimize that using fintech? That's something we want to talk about in this class throughout the semester, right? What kind of mistakes do they make? And then, advise them in a timely fashion. That's what we are going to do. That's the aim. Well, this is not a textbook, I would say, but this is the book I wrote in Korean language. It's not a must. If you're Koreans, right, Korean students, you can enjoy this one. This one, the ebook is ready. Okay, you can read it for your reading pleasure. And then this is a short selling by Professor Lee Kwan-hui is also available. So go ahead and enjoy reading it. And then fintech books, too many of them are here. Okay, so go ahead and read it. And then Naver versus Kakao is also an interesting books to read. Right. And then the quant investment is one of the things that we're going to cover in this semester. Obviously, quantitative, rule-based, automated tradings are one of the fintech areas that we have to be aware of. So you can enjoy reading these books by Mr. Lee Hyun-yeol or Mr. Kang Hwan-guk if you're Koreans. And by the way, Kang Hwan-guk has a YouTube channel. Okay, is a very famous YouTuber. So go ahead and watch them. Well, part of it, the part of the reason why I suggest Kang Hwan-guk is that he's great in summarizing and telling the stories about the academic research papers in a very easy to understand manner. Okay, but a part of his discussions are not correct in terms of, especially in MBTI. I told you, MBTI is not backed up by science. So that's why I try to be careful about that. But other than that, his discussions are, very easy and fun to understand. So go ahead and watch it. So thanks for watching until now. The next video, I'm going to do more of, introduction to finish our first class. All right. So wait for that. Thanks for watching.